except for the steakhouse is not coming.
Right.
Very good. Yeah, a little frizzy.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Catherine Hazard-Flynn. I run the Business Engagement Center here at URI, and I was the MC at the big virtual food summit that we had in January. Thank you, everyone who attended that. We had over 200 people tune into that. So clearly there's a need here to gather all the stakeholders in the food sector, whether they're academics, in government, industry. So that's the purpose of all of our follow-on sessions. And so the follow-on sessions are sort of a hybrid versus the full thing was virtual. This is hybrid. We have 35 people that had signed up in person. We have another 57 supposedly online. Hello, everyone who's online. Thank you, all of you, for attending. The subject today is good food jobs, which is obviously a very important subject, and I'm going to let Shayna and Shannon, easy for me to say, introduce themselves in a minute. But in the meantime, this is our first follow-up. We've got two more, and the next one is on the 14th of March, and Julie Stamazik and Ken Ayers are going to be leading that one. And I've got Julie here. Do you want to say a few words about what the next one's about?
Sure, thanks.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Julie Stelmazik. I'm the Director of Food Strategy at Rhode Island Commerce. And I just wanted to mention our next follow-on session, which will be March 14th at Farm Fresh Rhode Island. Thank you, Jesse. And it'll be two back-to-back sessions that's mostly focused on farmers, fishers, and small food manufacturers. So the first session will be about resource sharing, so access to funding, support resources for that community. And we'll also be talking about some of the issues that we're going to be looking at as we update our state's food strategy this year. And then we'll have some snacks, and then because you gotta have snacks.
Yeah, you gotta have
your
snacks here.
There's snacks, hopefully locally sourced snacks. And then the second session will be all about opportunities for farmers and fishers to access institutional markets, specifically K-12, and the market potential there, and kind of how to navigate that. So we hope you attend that as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. And then the last after Food Summit event is on the 11th of April. It's at Johnson & Wales, and it's about food innovation. So startups and that sort of thing. And you'll hear more about that one at the next one. But all of this is on our Food Center website. So if you go on the Business Engagement Center /BEC/Food Center, you'll see the all the details about all the follow-up sessions. So we're trying to spread the wealth, not just have everything here at URI. And so again, the next one's in Providence, and then the one after that at Johnson & Wales. I'm sorry that I'm not able to stay this time. The president is actually speaking at the Greece Greenwich Chamber. He's their keynote at their annual meeting. So I have to head with him up to East Greenwich. But I hope you guys have a great session, and I'm going to turn it over to the people who are really in charge, Shayna and Shannon.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you. Welcome everybody. I'm Shayna Cohen. I am a senior consultant with a food systems consulting firm called Karen Carpet Partners, KK&P. We work at the intersection of regional food systems and economic vibrancy. And we have an area of focus and love for human capital and workforce issues. And an important client that we've been working with over the last 5 years is the Rhode Island Nursery and Landscape Association and Growing Futures. This panel stems out of a lot of the thinking that Shannon and her team and I have done over the last 5 years, building a program in Rhode Island to build career pathways in the landscape and horticulture and agriculture industries. We've assembled a really amazing panel today that follows through the food supply chain. From agriculture and production, Shannon will talk about RINLA and Growing Futures programs. Chels will talk about what it's like to go through those programs and to work at Greenview Farm. We have Kane and Jesse who will introduce themselves from Farm Fresh Rhode Island and talk about their distribution model in particular, but also other programs that they run. We have Tori and Annie from Blount Fine Foods, representing the processing sector of the supply chain. And we have Kevin DeLibero from the Newport Restaurant Group. Each of these organizations is very different from each other, and each has taken a really innovative and interesting approach to cultivating people as a way to elevate the food system and elevate their businesses. They've done it for different reasons, they've employed different tactics, and they've employed different strategies, and we're really excited to bring them all together to share what they've been doing with you, you here and on YouTube, and to bring them into discussion with each other, and then into discussion with all of you. So without further ado, I am going to turn it over to Shannon to start to present her work. I'm gonna migrate around the room so that I'm not blocking the PowerPoint.
Thank you, Shayna. Could we start with the first slide, please? So the Rhode Island Nursery and Landscape Association is actually a trade association that advocates on behalf of the $2.5 billion green industry. It really is this umbrella association that represents food farmers, folks that grow trees, to fine gardening, the whole service supply chain around green industry and land use, land care. Next slide, please. One of the biggest issues facing our member businesses is the lack of trained and skilled individuals coming into agriculture and plant-based industries. There's also a huge aging demographic, and one of the largest landholders, and I would say this is going to be a big crisis here in the state of Rhode Island, is the largest landholders in the state of Rhode Island are actually nursery and sod farmers. So that's because of the aging farm community, it's going to be a crisis for the state of, or is a crisis for the state of Rhode Island. And then there's also this real deep lack of understanding of the variety of jobs and that they're living wage careers. And our industry, shame on us, we don't tell the story very well. And I would say, as a coastal community, we're also facing some of the biggest challenges facing, the world, really. It's climate change, a changing environment, and then how are we going to feed our communities? And so we also recognize that individuals are also looking for meaning and purpose, and our industry offers that. So really, Growing Futures rose out of trying to solve these issues. And you could go to slide 2, or the next slide. And I have to say that leadership matters and investment matters, because we had businesses that were ready to take this on, and a variety of agencies and folks that believed in the industry, and also Real Jobs Rhode Island, which was an innovative program within the Department of Labor and Training that was saying businesses know what they need in a skilled labor force. We're ready to help you make that happen. And so they invested in us and said, you can do this. And so I am forever grateful to Sarah McBain and those at DLT for recognizing the value of what the industry has to offer. Okay, next slide. So we really take this whole ecosystem approach to solving this problem of how we're gonna launch and retain and attract the next generation of professionals who are gonna steward and protect and respond to this changing environment and actually feed our communities. And so Growing Futures has developed a suite, a suite of Oops, we have to go back, but a suite of programs, basically a youth apprenticeship program, a career catalyst pre-apprenticeship program, higher educational pathways. It's hard to believe that we've actually done this within 5 years. A registered apprenticeship program, and professional certifications associated with all of these different programs. But I really want to focus today on our multi-employer registered apprenticeship program, because we brought the industry together to identify what the competencies and skills were necessary for someone to be successful within a company. And we started a registered apprenticeship for plant-based industry. So it is a wide range of industries, from food farming to fine gardening to you name it. It really encompasses this broad breadth of the industry. What I find really valuable about registered apprenticeship is that it really is a conversation between the employer and the employee. It is saying, I am willing to invest in you and I want to see you grow as a professional, and let's talk about what that means, how you're going to grow within that program. It's an earn while you learn model, it's outside education, it's recognized by the feds, it's a post-secondary credential. It has all this wonderful value. There's bumps in wages as you go. I believe in that model. And then we established the Growing Futures Career Catalyst, which is a pre-apprenticeship program. How do we draw individuals into the industry, give them begin to give them a feel and an understanding of what the industry is, with a hands-on education, 5-week educational opportunity, as well as a hybrid educational foundation in understanding how to communicate. What is conflict resolution? Some of the soft skills that you'll probably hear employers talk about. What is it? What is an ecosystem? Why does soil matter? And then they get a hands-on experience at Arcadia management area. So this program gives back to our community by getting out into the field, building trails, dealing with fire roads, building bridges. Really a hands-on physical program in the winter. So I think those are the two sort of main programs, or 2 programs. I have 3 minutes left. So next slide. How do we know it's working? We know it's working because we have a waiting list of companies that want to come into this program. Over 40 companies right now from across the industry. 71% of our folks that have come into our pre-apprenticeship program have graduated and entered into registered apprenticeship. So it's showing them how they can grow as professionals within a company. 30 miles, over 30 miles of public trails have been maintained and rebuilt, valued at $350,000, or the 13,000 hours of participants working to maintain the public lands is equal to $350,000. There are diverse cohorts of, including a broad range of work, education, and income backgrounds. 58% are women, 8% are gender non-binary, 28% of the people who identified as other than white in our program. And we also have a new interdisciplinary degree at CCRI, where our registered apprentices can be fed into a degree program and then come into URI. So we've really created a system where people can grow and as professionals. Again, in the last slide, I just want to say that the value of this work is really looking at it from an interdependent way. It's rich. It's it's actually pretty wonderful, this program. We've helped a lot of people. I believe in it. I think one of the things that is also beautiful about it is it's a 2-pronged approach. It's building capacity for the worker, it's building capacity for the employer, and it brings them together in conversation. And it really looks at people as whole human beings. When you want to help lift individuals out of poverty, it means that they need to understand where they can get transportation, daycare, where they're going to get affordable housing. And we have developed a program within RINLA that supports that whole human being and helps business actually understand how they can help their employee, and vice versa, growing a person that is going to work to face and help us as a community face the biggest challenges facing our coastal community. That's it. There's so much to it. I only have 7 minutes, but
There will be an opportunity to ask questions and learn more as we go further down. Thank you so much for that. Chels, over to you.
Hey, I'm probably not going to talk for 7 minutes, but I'm Chelsea. I'm here to represent Greenview Farm. I don't own Greenview Farm. I just work there. I'm a farmhand. So this will be my 3rd season. I had the benefit too of going through the Growing Futures Career Catalyst program, not last year but the year before. And since then, I've worked as a crew leader for other folks going through that program. So that's really beneficial too with RINLA, is knowing that in the winter when I have an off season, I might have a gig with RINLA where I get to help other people kind of decide whether they want to work in the green industry at all and where they might want to go from there. And I'm also working through my apprenticeship program too right now while I'm at Greenview. I'm pretty close to my hours. What's great about that is that I just get to work at my job and hone my skills at my job and talk that through with my employer. It's not something that I have to do outside of work, which often can be really tough. You know, you're trying to get certified in something, you're trying to get a degree in something else, but you have to work, and you might not have time. So that's a really huge benefit of it for me. Other than that, Greenview itself, it's a small family-owned and operated farm. The folks that we work for live right there on the farm. We get to be really close with them. They support us in numerous ways. We get to take home the vegetables that we grow, which is really obviously good for your health. You know, you get your free veggies. It feels good to be able to take advantage of that. And they just, they're a really open family. It's a very no BS environment. Our goals are pretty clear. We want to grow good produce for people to eat. So that's a pretty easy, motivator. It's a pretty easy thing to latch onto. And they're also really great about teaching us everything that we need to know. They're not gatekeepers of how to run a farm. They want people to learn how to do these skills. They want people to maybe go and open their own farms too. They're not thinking of it in a competitive way. I think that's all I can think of to say right now. I'm sure I'll think of other stuff, but thanks.
Thank you. Fantastic. Team Jesse.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jesse Rye. I'm the Executive Director of Farm Fresh Rhode Island. This is Kane Cabral. He's the Assistant Director of our Market-Mobile program. I'm going to be turning it over to Kane in a little bit. For those of you that know Farm Fresh, I'll keep this brief. For those of you that don't, I hope that my summation does the trick. Farm Fresh started about in 2004, and with a mission of better connecting farmers and eaters in Rhode Island. And our programmatic work now takes the form and shape of about 5 different main areas of our work. We have our Market-Mobile program, which Kane is going to tell you all about. We have Hope's Harvest, which I think a lot of folks know around the state, gleaning and also making connections into the hunger relief networks. Our community education program, which is both farm to school and farm to senior and everywhere in between. And then Harvest Kitchen, which is a youth job training program that focuses on turning B and C grade produce into value-added products. So Farm Fresh started with a staff of 3 people and a budget of $30,000. Fast forward to today, we have a budget of over $6 million and we are bumping up close to 50 employees. So all of that happening in about 15 years, there's a really great story about all of the systems and structures and things that needed to be put in place to grow from a startup organization into a full-grown, organization that has to adhere to all of the laws that apply to organizations that are over 50 people. I started at Farm Fresh in 2012, and they had already come a really long way on their journey in terms of becoming a legitimate organization and having systems in place. But when I was hired as the managing director in 2012, some of the main things that I was tasked with was improve HR systems, think about benefits for employees, make sure that all of the legal frameworks are correct. It was really about taking Farm Fresh to that next phase of growth. And over the last decade, we've had a lot of ups and downs. It hasn't been easy. There's been a lot of things that have come up, and I can sit here today and share with you all that we're a better organization on the end of those 10 years because of that.
Stronger.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I think there's a lot to be said about learning from your mistakes and digging in and having difficult conversations. In particular, issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion had been things that Farm Fresh had really stumbled with, probably in the middle, like 2015, 16, 17, we were trying to engage in conversations about race, equity, and inclusion, and we were doing it the wrong way. And we had an opportunity to come back and try again, and to try to do it in a better way, and in a way that was more inclusive, and also in a way that was supported with outside support from facilitators and trainers, and lots of good lessons learned. I'm not going to dwell too much on that right now. I'm sure we'll come back to that in some questions, but a couple things in our staff and on our team came up from that, and Kane's going to talk a little bit more about some of those. What we heard when we were talking to our team was that folks didn't feel like they had any input in our decision-making processes. How could we open that up? How could we be more transparent about the work that we were doing? How the decision gets made? What grant do we apply for? What is the work plan that goes with that? And some responses to that took a couple interesting forms and shapes. One of them was implementing what's called an open book management system, which has been popularized by Zingerman's, which is based out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. And it's really about having every member of your team feeling ownership and buy-in around financial management, numbers, forecasting, and really thinking about how you can use the numbers to engage folks in feeling connected to their work. We've also spent a lot of time with trainings, thinking about like employment standards, thinking about tiers of employment. We have written and rewritten job descriptions so many times trying to make sure that we are just getting better at what we're doing. And all of that seems like a lot of work and seems like sometimes like you're spinning your wheels. But at the end of the day, if you don't have clarity about the expectations that you have for the folks that work at your organization, you never know if you're on an even playing field. So we've just kept going back to that and kept working on that. And we're really happy to be where we are today. But I was joking with someone. I'm like, I'm on a panel that's called Good Food Jobs. I'm sure if I polled everyone here, you'd be like, okay, food jobs. But I think that's because we can always do better. We can always do better as employers, as organizations, as places where people come to work. And I'm really happy to have Kane here today. And I've got a couple questions that I'm going to ask Kane. We're going to do a little panel, a mini panel within a panel. I know. So Kane, can you share with everyone a little bit about the Market Mobile program and about the team that makes it happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Market Mobile program is it's the distribution program of Farm Fresh. So basically what we do is we connect local food with local eaters. We work with a variety of institutions, universities, businesses, restaurants, as well as residential customers. We have 2 different order cycles a week. So what we do is we receive food one day, we pack it up that night, that morning, and we send it out, the following day. So it's in our facility for under 24 hours. We're getting this fresh food out to the community. The team that makes it happen, we're a small team at Market Mobile, maybe about 11 or 12. We have about 5 warehouse workers, 3 drivers, 4 customer service representatives, and we're all in there constantly, Monday through Friday, receiving the food, putting it away properly, packing it up, getting it on the truck, and getting it to the customer. So that's kind of Market Mobile in a nutshell.
What about you? What's your journey at Market Mobile?
So I started at Market Mobile in 2018 as a driver, part-time. I kind of just worked my way in. I then shifted into a pack house role or a warehouse role, followed by a supervisor position, followed by management, and now in 2023, I'm assistant director of the program, helping with a lot of the distribution, interconnections with food hubs throughout New England, and kind of just doing outreach to different institutions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a great journey at Farm Fresh. Yes. And the organization holds a special place in my heart, just because of the professional development it's offered me, and as well as the others there that have worked their way up there.
Kane, warehouse settings are known for being like the most kind places to work. Mild understatement there. Yeah. What do you do to build an inclusive culture in the warehouse?
So with me, my motto is teamwork makes the dream work. right? So all hands on deck, right? And there's not one job that's more important than the other. And that's something that I like to relate to the staff, that everyone in this, for this program, this wouldn't happen without one individual. So everyone is just as important as somebody else. And that's, yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much.
Yeah.
So you're starting to hear some of the common themes that bring these people to the table. These are organizations that are really focused on clarity of expectations, clarity of opportunity, clarity of pathways within the organization and within an industry. And you're seeing how within each organization and each element of the organization that can be realized through specific tactics. So working our way down the supply chain, and you brilliant people sat in order of supply chain naturally. So we've hit production, we've hit distribution, over to processing.
Yeah, thank you, Shayna. Hi, my name's Annie. Tori LaFleur here with us today from Blount Fine Foods. Tori is our corporate HR coordinator, and she'll tell you a little bit more about Blount and who we are as a company. And then I'm going to dive a little bit more into development, because that has been my world and focus for all of my career at Blount. So Tori, if you want to tell a little bit more about the company.
So we are a 5-generation family-owned company, and we were incorporated in 1946. We do have 4 production facilities. We have one in Warren, Rhode Island, Fall River, Mass, McKinney, Texas, and Portland, Oregon, which Annie's going to be moving there soon. So exciting. Across all 4 production facilities, we do 1 million pounds a day. We have 1,000 active SKUs. You guys probably know we are partnered with Panera Bread. So if you guys like the mac and cheese, the broccoli and cheddar soup, we make that. Yeah. Also legal seafoods. And we do also have our brands, Blount Fine Foods, Blount's Family Kitchen, and the Blount Clam Shack. Out of our Warren facility, we do produce 16.5 million pounds a year. And then in our Fall River facility, it is connected to our corporate office. We do 132 million pounds a year. So that's cool. I'm not trying to brag, but we have we have been recognized as Providence Best New Place to Work since 2016. So
something to be proud of.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
So
You should be practiced.
exactly. So that's why I had to share it. You know, just to give you guys a little bit of a background more. Our mission is we are privately held, customer-driven, leading marketer and manufacturer of prepared foods, dedicated to exceeding customer expectations with premium culinary experiences. And our vision is our first choice for premium quality prepared soups, side dishes, and entrees. Just to give you a little bit of Blount's values, these are displayed everywhere in our facilities. We like to bring the best, do it now, serve, win together, and work smart. And then Annie's gonna share a couple of programs that we have.
Thank you, Tori.
No problem.
So we want to make sure that throughout everything that we do, we're empowering our employees to live up to those values to help us achieve that mission and achieve the vision as well. So a little bit about myself at Blount. I started as an intern there, coming up on 6 years, and I just stepped into a new role as the manager of performance and succession. So if that role title doesn't tell you in itself the direction that Blount really is taking as it comes to making sure that we're creating clear pathways for our employees, making sure that we're creating clarity and expectation. I love hearing that down the line. One of my main goals in this new role is to create a robust competency model to align with that clarity of expectations. So that's looking forward. As I look back over the past 6 years in my career at Blount, able to build out all these programs that I'm about to share with you, it was hard to pick one to focus in on. So I think I'm going to introduce some of my favorites because we really like to try new things, see what sticks. We've phased programs in, done pilots, phased them out when we've identified that they don't work. So one of the programs that we make sure every one of our salaried individuals gets within 3 months of starting is going through a DISC communication training. This is something that we do to make sure that we're communicating well with each other, understanding our own communication styles, But we don't stop there like a lot of trainings on communication do. We also make sure that I understand Tori's communication style, and that way we can both make sure I understand why she's talking to me the way she is, why she's emailing me the way she is, why she's coming by my desk instead of emailing me. Right? And then we can adjust and recognize what's the motivation behind that. And that really has helped people to build more effective relationships in the workplace. One of the programs that or initiatives that we piloted last year was the Career Fulfillment Initiative, an opportunity to recognize that not every employee does feel as jazzed up about their job as I do, or my HR colleagues do. So we recognized that, and from a retention and holistic employee standpoint, wanted to recognize how do we help empower these employees to find out how can they feel more fulfilled in their role. And so we trained up some members of our team to really understand different ways that they could connect with employees and help them find fulfillment at Blount. Maybe that is in their role, and it's just understanding how to ask for stretch assignments or how to ask to be involved with something like this. Maybe it's connection and networking that drives fulfillment in your role more than just the actual work that you're doing. So that's one that's had a wavering start, and we're hoping to kind of do a bit of a refresh of it in the next year and see how can we really make sure we're reaching the employees that it's really important to reach with that initiative. A program I'm really proud of is our internship program. As I mentioned before, I started as an intern at Blount. I had 3 internships in my life, so it's something I'm very passionate about. We started that program in 2019, and since we've started bringing in about 25 students through the internship program each year. I'm happy to say that we hire more and more students each year. So at present, we hire about 20% of the students that we bring in through into full-time positions, and we see fantastic retention when we bring students in through internships. When you compare it nationwide to employees of similar age, it's remarkable how much longer we retain those students. We also have an internal coaching program. So David Flavin is our Director of Coaching and Mentoring, another title that just tells you how much Blount is invested in giving back to our employees. And he's actually an end-of-life doula in addition to being our internal coach. And we actually call that life coaching, because when he brings somebody into his office, they're not just talking about, how's the buying going today? When he has somebody come in, it's really a holistic approach at helping that person through whatever it is. He likes to say there's no such thing as work-life balance, it's all life.
Right, that's right.
We offer 360-degree reviews. We do about 45 to 50 people go through that program each year. I'm actually about to go through one soon, so Tori will get an email. And that's a really great opportunity to make sure that we're getting effective feedback to all of our employees, because when we think about how people are going to be able to progress through their career, often it's our blind spots that really prevent us from being able to elevate. So we want to make sure that people are getting that opportunity to have some self-reflection. We have a Blount Business Management Series, which is a program we built in collaboration with Bryant University. And that is a program that we have about 20 to 30 people go through each year, and they learn skills like accountability, creative thinking, problem solving, as well as skills really specific to our business. So our CEO, Todd Blount, teaches the course on product strategy. Our COO, William Bigelow, he teaches the class on pricing. Nate Hayden, our Director of Consumer Marketing, teaches the marketing class. So when you talk about, Shauna mentioned that leadership commitment and that investment mattering, it really does. And so you can see how we have our executive team right embedded into our programs, and that is huge. We have a leadership development program, as well as some other things that I'm not gonna have time to go into, but if you have questions on them, I'd love to dive into that as well. I could go on forever about the different development opportunities. I love that I get to be on both sides of the development at Blount. They're sponsoring me going through the South Coast Leadership Community Program as well. And they've sponsored my education, so it really is something that you see we're delivering and living it as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
So start off with the short video.
That would be great. Want to go to the video for you? Folks who are participating virtually, it might be hard for you to see and hear this, but we're going to post, if it hasn't been posted already, a link in the chat for you to be able to see it on your own devices more clearly.
restaurants are places to experience life as you want it to be.
We believe that every table tells a different story.
We believe that companies should be responsible to their communities.
And that by serving one another,
We also serve a greater good.
We believe that dining is living. Food is joy.
A well-crafted cocktail can make the evening, and dessert is always sweeter when shared. We believe that sustainability starts close to home,
We believe in a signature dish.
but we believe more in the signature efforts of dedicated employees.
we believe that when employees own the company,
The guest has a better experience. So Newport Restaurant Group is 100% employee owned.
Because we also believe that true happiness is found in the service of others.
And it's happiness that makes good restaurants great.
And great restaurants, ours. 100%.
I always get the chills when I watch it. My name is Kevin DeLibero. I work for Newport Restaurant Group. I have been with Newport Restaurant Group for 20 years. We own and operate 15 locations through the Rhode Island, Massachusetts area. ESOP is part of our culture. It is something that our employees believe in. Someone breaks a glass in a restaurant, you'll hear a server say, "That's my ESOP money." So this
You
is.
define ESOP for everybody.
ESOP is, ESOP is Employee Stock Ownership Plan. So the way ESOP works is an individual, anybody from dishwasher to the president, works 800 hours in one calendar year to become eligible. After the second year, you become 20% vested, third year, 40%, 60, 80, 100. So after the sixth year, you're 100% vested as an employee owner. So there is a contribution that is made to an account just for working for the company. So when I started with the company 20 years ago as a line cook, it really didn't mean much to me. And then as I started to get my certificates every May, I was like, wow, this is real. And as my career started to take off, because I made a life decision to join the company because of what the company believed in, within their morals and how they treat their people. It was more of a career journey for me coming on board with Newport Restaurant Group. And as I started as a line cook and worked myself to kitchen supervisor, sous chef, executive sous chef, and now culinary arts director, the fruits of the labor mean a lot more. As I said to the panel a couple weeks ago, I'm not just working for an owner to put that Ferrari in his driveway, I'm actually working to put that Ferrari in my driveway. So the contributions are real. You see a certificate every year. And there is, so industry standard within restaurants, everybody knows that there's a very high turnover rate. You know, that turnover rate is about 75% within restaurants. Newport Restaurant Group is 13%. So there is a true commitment to people's work every day, because they know that their work is recognized on a daily basis. You know, everybody understands that the restaurant business is not an easy business to work in. And ESOP is one facet of Newport Restaurant Group that really ties into the commitment and the stability of our employees. In 1995 is when we became an ESOP, and as the years progressed, we went from 26 to 36 to 48, and in 2019 we became 100% employee owned. So that's a brief overview of ESOP. I know that it has a strong impact to our employees. There's a bartender in Newport that's been with the company. He has close to $1 million in his ESOP for being a bartender, and a damn good one. But you know, where can you work in a restaurant and be able to know when you want to retire, you have a nice nest egg for yourself? So that's one thing that helps. A couple other things that we've been working on with the Newport Restaurant Group is training programs, so career ladders, and management development to help show the path for our younger employees. to show them how to kind of just go through the ranks and give them the skills and the tools to grow as individuals. So that's a little bit about Newport Restaurant Group.
Fantastic. Thank you. So I'm gonna join my friends up here by the non-fire to start the discussion part of this. And I guess I want to just invite any of you to ask each other questions before I start asking questions or open it up from the floor. I'm wondering if any of you have questions at the outset for each other.
I have a question for
Shannon.
Shannon, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Shannon.
Yeah,
I know,
it's all right.
I made up Shannon.
Everyone's
I'll
struggles.
answer to anything.
Oh, Shannon. So you had mentioned that one of the struggles that you have is actually the lack of understanding of the different types of jobs that are within the agriculture industry.
Right.
That's been a struggle. Have you noticed that some of the initiatives that you're doing is starting to change that? I ask because we share that in manufacturing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of data that shows if somebody doesn't have a family member in manufacturing, they don't
won't
see it
know.
as a career path at all.
But yeah, I think that we're just at the beginning of that, but I think that we have started to begin to tell that story through video, through actually testimony of folks like Chels, folks who are in the audience, and word of mouth. So we really have taken a sort of a two-prong approach in trying to get the word out. And I have to say, marketing and recruiting, telling that story has been a key piece of, well, so why should I care about plant-based industry? What does it mean for me as a homeowner or actually a business owner? What is the meaning that a lot of young people want to actually be a part of changing the food system, or being a part of responding to climate change and sustainability, or actually being part of a regenerative model, right? And so I think marketing has played a huge piece, and we're fortunate to have received investment to be able to do that. So our social media presence is here. The Food Summit shared some of our videos. So I think telling the story and connection to place, why you matter, why it matters to everyone. What's special about Rhode Island and that relationship to the environment, to people, and doing good, right? Businesses can do good. What is that? What is that story we have to tell? So I feel fortunate in doing that, but I'd be interested to see how you have faced that challenge, because I hear that regularly from folks that people don't understand what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the outreach pieces that we do is with junior achievement, and so we'll go into Providence and we'll speak to 8th graders at the convention center, and we'll be able to educate them. And there's two things that I love that happen when we're at that. One of them is when somebody comes up and goes, "My dad works at Blount."
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
Yeah.
And the other one is when I tell somebody that I work in manufacturing, and I say, "Okay, so what do you picture when you think of working in manufacturing?" And they describe somebody
Right.
working out on a production floor, and I'm usually standing. I intentionally dress in heels and a pencil skirt or whatever, and I say, "Do you think I work in manufacturing?" They say no. I said, "I just told you I worked at Blount Fine Foods." And it's really funny to kind of help them bridge that gap, to say we have accountants, we have HR, we have these other types of careers that are really needed in that industry. And then also, there's a lot of that supply chain management, operations management, which are careers that they don't necessarily consider.
Yeah, I think
different outreach programs. Like
I think the outreach, getting out into the schools, we do that as well. But also, like you're saying, the diversity of jobs. You could be working in part of the pre-apprenticeship program is introducing that idea that you can actually be in an office. You could actually help a company with telling their social media story. The HR department, and then if you really want, if your thing is working with soil, well, we got this for you. A lot of it. So it's so diverse, the opportunities. Yeah, it's pretty wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question, just I'll put it out to everyone. As I was listening to you all, something that you often hear when, from business owners or business managers or people who are responsible for the bottom line of a business is that the things that workers want put a pressure on the business that isn't tenable for the business. And what I hear in your responses and the way you describe what each of your organizations, which are all very different from each other, like wildly different from each other, each of those organizations is finding a way to balance what owners and managers need with what workers need, knowing that by providing what workers need, you will get what the business needs. And I wondered if anyone wanted to talk about tensions or pressures that they've experienced in implementing these programs around that balance.
I would say it is understanding the employees you have and how to work with them, because it's about connection. It's about understanding the people that work for you and how to enrich their lives and vice versa. So I think like the training programs that we've implemented have helped with that. With being an ESOP-based company, they have a say. Our employees have a say on what goes on. But really it's about understanding our employees, listening, adapting, and making sure that they're enriching us and we're enriching them to grow. That's the biggest thing.
I would add to what Kevin said. We're coming out of a stretch in the last 3 years where we've probably seen unprecedented wage growth. People are earning more, but that doesn't mean that the places that they work are the places that they want to stay. And with wages going up across the board, I think seeing people gravitate to businesses, organizations that they want to work with, there is something more that has to be there than just checking that $25 an hour box. It has to be a good place to work. There has to be a good culture. There has to be something more to it. I really like what you shared about life work or live work balance. Yeah. It's all life. I mean, if more organizations and companies were approaching it that way, I think it may not have been such a competitive shift that we were seeing where people were jumping from place to place as often. But
yeah, I think for small businesses, it's a challenge, right? To understand that, because the owner is basically the HR person dealing with the clients, trying to find the work, all of those things, making sure that the workers are at the property and know how to do it. And so I think some of the value of what we've been able to do through Growing Futures is actually bringing businesses together so that they can talk about, because wages have gone up, competition for labor is, what does the creation of a good work culture mean? And so, we've seen some really wonderful conversations and businesses change because of they're beginning to understand, well, what is a living wage? What are the benefits that I could offer as a small business? How do I market to my clients so that I can charge more for the work that I do? Also, how can I change my business to accommodate the talent that is actually coming into the business, right? So I think some of the work has been really interesting to see the challenges facing very small businesses, and because we've really worked with a variety of, like the size of Blount for some, and how do you deal with the corporations? But I think small businesses face some really interesting challenges, and I think this program has really begun to help them, and we have models of companies like the one actually on the cover of 41 North, where she couldn't keep people and she was like struggling, and so she really had to look internally at her business and take the time to realize that her people were her business, and so she did it. And there are other stories like that. And so I'm really actually proud of many of the employers who have really rose to the challenge of our times, right? Yeah.
I'll pause here and see if anyone from the floor has any questions right now. I have others, but turn it over to you as well. Patty? Patty, do we have any questions from the folks online right now?
Yeah.
Great, well, we'll keep it going this way. So, you've described a pretty amazing range of programs, right, with incredible impacts. And I'm wondering if each organization could just take a minute to describe any challenges that you faced in either designing these responses to improving employee retention or employee experience within your organization, or challenges that you faced in getting employee buy-in to those, or employee interest in what you're offering in the first place, or any other challenge that you faced. Anyone can chime in, but I'd love to hear from each organization.
I think with us, when developing new training programs, you're never going to get it right the first time.
Right.
And I think it's just being open and honest with the people, so they understand that this is a work in progress. It's a two-way street. Your training is important to us, and we want to make sure that the information we're putting in front of you is accurate and right. So I think having that open dialogue of knowing that, yes, we are putting our best foot forward, and we're going to have some bumps, but we are going to work very diligently to correct them and make it the right way. So I know that we've always tried to just be very transparent when rolling something new out. So it's not like it's just being pushed down from corporate, this is the way it is. We really try to just have an open dialogue and be transparent through that process to help us get better.
I love that, because I think that the beauty, and I think Jesse, you brought it up, is the self-reflection that an agent, like I know that for our programs, we really need to, you have to be flexible. It's almost like mimicking the environment, right? Nothing stays the same.
No, you have to be able to
Everything
adapt
changes,
and
right? And so for me, it's supporting my team to recognize that. And COVID, oh my gosh, guys, we were changing things. We were getting, the governor was saying, help. You need to create a new program in, training
Everybody
program.
from hospitality wants to work outside.
Yeah, So, but I think for us that lesson is really about flexibility. Yeah. It's about reflection. It's putting new things, taking the risk of something new, evaluating it. Our team evaluates constantly, but also our participants. We asked our participants, look, we're trying to grow something new.
I think that's important for them to understand the importance of their feedback. Right?
Yes.
I just sat with the new chef that will be starting with us in a couple of weeks, and we have a pretty intensive 5-week training program. But at the end, there is dialogue of what could we have done better for your training. Because that is important to us. And him hearing that, I think he understands the commitment of his success, and then the success of the people that come in behind him. So I think that's just having that open transparency.
Yeah, it comes down to communication, right? Yeah. It's hard.
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes.
I think if you're talking about buy-in, that just landed for me in a way that. I had the opportunity to go out to Ann Arbor and do I was one person in a room of many people learning about open book management. And this was pre-pandemic. This was 2016, 2017. I came back to the organization and I was like, I'm so excited about this idea. Let's do it. And there was zero buy-in because no one else had the same opportunity to learn the method. And I, reflecting on that, we were able to bring Zingermans in and do what do we do? Months of a meeting once a week, learning it, doing it online. And I feel that at least got people on the same page. It may not have created buy-in around it, but at least everyone knew what we were talking about.
Zingerman's pretty great.
They're absolutely,
pretty great.
I'm curious, you're part of a team huddle on a weekly basis. What are the successes and what are the failures of that you see?
I think, so we have the team huddle once a week. The success is just hearing out the staff, right? And what went right, what went wrong throughout the week. And it's the great part of a huddle is so everyone's heard, right? Everyone can give feedback and we can discuss at the end of the week, okay, next week I think we should try this. Next week, don't do this. And so everyone feels like a part of that team and heard. And that's the great part about the open book management is the transparency. Everyone feels included. Everyone has a voice in this operation, in this process. It's not one person calling the shots. Everyone can put their 2 cents in and come back next week and collaborate even better than we did the week prior. And to speak a little bit on the Zingerman, that's another great thing that I know us at Farm Fresh do is offering those Zingerman training courses, how to write an SOP, how to, management courses and this, so on and so forth. So, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can echo Jesse's challenges, I think, with the getting the buy-in. So I mentioned our career fulfillment initiative that we were trying to get off the ground last year, and we won't pretend that every one of these programs that we try just launches right out. And so, we've gone through such rapid growth over the years. I mean, we currently have, when I started 6 years ago, we had 800 employees. Today we have 1,800 across 4 facilities nationwide. That type of growth has made us have to learn very quickly, and sometimes we don't learn as quickly as we're growing, and so communication is really hard. I want to tell every employee that I am here to help them feel fulfilled in their role, but I can't do that. So getting the buy-in of the supervisor, right? We say we want to reach that 100 supervisors so we can reach the 1,000 employees, which pretty soon I'm going to have to start saying to reach the 2,000 employees. But what we need is that buy-in from those supervisors so that when they're seeing their employee, when they're working with their boiler tech and they are hearing that they're frustrated about something, or they are overhearing that they went on an interview last week, then they can say, hey, have you heard about the career fulfillment options? You can just go to this link and sign up for a quick session with somebody. And it doesn't have to be more than that if the employee doesn't want it. It can be a quick conversation. It can be just between, one of our career fulfillment guides, as we call ourselves. It doesn't have to go back to the supervisor, but we need them bought in and talking to the employees themselves, because, like I said, I can't tell each one.
Yeah, that's right.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, all of you, I think I can sum up, it's people building relationships. And now all of you here, none of you are a person of color. And your network, and again, building relationship, and what percent of your so-called employees or trainees, interns are people of color? I'm just curious.
Great question, thank you.
I don't have a percentage for you, but I know that there is a good amount of, there is diversity with the Newport Restaurant Group, but I don't have a percentage off the top of my head for you.
The reason I'm mentioning is, I think, Shannon, you bring up a good point, is about, I am here as a small nonprofit organization, and I think Jesse, thank you for the tour. I think it was many years ago.
Yeah.
That was when I was still teaching at Johnson & Wales and going in there. But this is the thing, I think we all working the same thing, and food system, food is universal human right. So we try to use this food system as a platform for social, environmental, economic justice and equity. Yet, this society, you mentioned about Shannon, you mentioned the small nonprofit organizations. I am the, community of one woman. I do everything. And then yet, I focus on, frontline communities. And when I see that, and it just like what you're talking about, building relationship, having, training, leadership and everything, but these people, they have no means of even enough to care about their resignation program because they can't find a job. And so to me, it's kind of a, wow, here's a reality check. This is great that you guys really try and again, Jesse, I was really impressed when I had a Farm Fresh running tour. And at that same time, I think I asked the same question too, what percentage of these and small farmers. And I'm not sure the number has increased. There was about 3 or 4 years ago, I got the tour there. And also I heard about your program because I'm master gardener, and then I do a lot of things building community garden. But it's like we talk about all these things, but we're not integrated. And I'm just wondering if there is some kind of a collective effort to integrate this, so that why not use that food system as a platform to going in?
So I think one of the things I want to say that I that I didn't say at the beginning of this, but that I should have said, is that, you know, the food system has a horrendous reputation as a place to work. It's considered primarily low wage work, grueling, extractive, demeaning. All of this was highlighted, you know, during the pandemic, when people were positioned within the food system as essential workers, as essential frontline workers, yet paid nothing, right? Put at the greatest amount of risk, put in the highest positions of pressure, and with, like, in many cases, not all cases, minimal payback on that, right? So a light was really shown. And one of the reasons we wanted to showcase these, you know, what these companies are doing is that, you know, farms typically, it's a tiny margin business in every sector along the food along the food supply chain, and that was at the root of the question that I was asking about these pressures that workers face. And by workers, I meant people who are typically working for a wage versus people who are making decisions in an organization that affect those wages. That was the distinction. But it's a really interesting point. You know, a lot of the work is also seasonal, and that was something I wanted to ask about. But I'd love to hear from folks, right? The issue of this being a no people of color panel is one issue. There's also the question of the differential of pay, the differential of power, the differential of opportunity, and the differential of even ability, as you said, within a life to see opportunity through stress and all the impacts of poverty, if that's where you're coming from. So I wonder if any of you can please feel free to address how that lives in your business and how that lives within the programs that you've been talking about.
Yeah, it was nice to visit with you a few years ago when you came through, and we're doing a better job. You know, I would say we're at 35% people of color represented at Farm Fresh in various positions across the organization. I'll still say that our executive leadership team is predominantly white, but our management teams are becoming more diverse, and we're seeing pathways for folks that have started in one role at Farm Fresh to grow into other areas of responsibility, and really taking seriously that professional development pathway specifically for people of color to see pathways in nonprofit organizations, in other organizations that are working on food systems issues. I think I was trying to acknowledge this before. It's like this isn't something that you solve. This is like a daily, weekly, monthly practice of continuously asking yourself, are we on the right path? Are we doing the right thing? Is this creating meaningful action? And you know, I sit here and I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that that is the case. I think contextually, like talking about the power of food systems for change in regards to racial equity and diversity and inclusion, you know, a regional partner, Food Solutions New England, does the 21-day equity building challenge. And if folks in the room haven't done that, I'd just like to put out a public service announcement that coming up in April, there's an opportunity for folks to dig in on these subjects, and, you know, start with yourself and start with where you are and start with the things in your life that whether you're a person that has extreme amount of privilege or someone that doesn't, what does that mean to you? And I mean, I think that there's tremendous opportunity, and I think the takeaway from Food Solutions New England is that we can't have a sustainable food system unless we have a just food system. So.
Would anybody else like to chime in on that?
I think I would.
Great.
So I would have to say that Blount is probably, you know, people who are white are probably the minority at Blount. I would say a lot of our employees are African American, Haitian, Hispanic, Asian as well, like myself. And for example, you know, with Black History Month, we are engaging our employees in ways where we have monitors set up all throughout our plant, acknowledging things like this. We definitely are trying to make an attempt. For example, we are trying to address things like neurodiversity, people who are diagnosed with ADHD,
autism.
Exactly. Thank you. So we are trying to, you know, include everyone, and like I said, I would definitely say that we are a completely diverse company, for sure.
a really impactful adjustment that we made that impacted the entire business to get on board was bringing in, we call it the NESC program. So this is for non-English speaking people to be able to make sure that we're able to employ individuals who don't speak English, which up until about 2018 or 2019 when we were able to make that transition. And that's really been able to open up a lot of opportunities for individuals who don't speak English. We have a huge Portuguese population in the Fall River area, and so we've been able to bring in so many wonderful people. And through that, again, another opportunity for us to be learning very fast about where does that matter, where does it really mean we need to change our practices, where does it really mean that we need to approach things differently. So I can tell you in our People First leadership meeting last month, we were having a really deep conversation. Everybody in that room speaks English and only English. And my boss, our VP of HR, Val Ball, she's saying, I'm sitting in my office and I'm hearing an employee, they're looking around and they're looking for the HR team. The only people that were there at the moment spoke English. And we do have bilingual individuals. We have HR members who speak Haitian Creole, who speak Portuguese and Spanish, but we can't have those employees manning the HR office 24 hours, and we do run 3 shifts. So finding ways to communicate is kind of the challenge that we're facing right now up front, and we know that there's so much further to go beyond that. But we want to make sure, and I really appreciated this as part of our conversation, there was a suggestion of, well, yeah, we can have just you take out your phone and you say what you need to say and it spits it back out in Portuguese and then they say what they need to say. But the personal touch that's lost. We pride ourselves on the internal customer service that we as an HR team provide to our employees. And so I'm proud of the fact that conversation was so focused on making sure we can't just find a solution that makes sure the person gets the answer. We need to make sure that we find the solution that makes sure the person gets the same experience that the English-speaking college does. Yeah, and it's just sustainable and of the same quality.
Chelsea, you've been quiet. I wonder if you have anything to add to this broader conversation as a farm.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, it's a little tough because Greenview Farm is seriously so small in comparison to the other organizations that are up here, but I can say like the best thing about Greenview is you can just show up as yourself and they will provide you with mutual respect right off the bat. They want to teach you, doesn't matter where you come from in your life or who you are. If you're willing to put in the hard effort, they're there for you, and they you grow to feel like family to them. It is a small family run farm. Their kids are there, they live there, you grow to feel part of their family too. I would say the Growing Futures Career Catalyst has probably helped Emily and Craig a lot as far as reaching a larger and more diverse group of people who are interested in working there, because before they might not have had that. Again, there is a lot of turnover. It's a seasonal job. It's different people every year. So this will be my 3rd year, but I've seen I've worked with dozens of people already, and usually we have like 10 people that we work with. So I can't really talk about percentages or anything like that as far as like who we've got, but I do think GFCC has been helpful for them to be able to reach a more diverse group of workers.
I can speak to that. I think for Rinla and the team, this is part of our mission, and part of our work was to actually get out into the community and understand different populations of people, and get the message out that we have great jobs and opportunities. So I can give you the statistics if you like, but we have really done a pretty good job of bringing folks in from who are justice involved, women, non-binary, and actually helping companies diversify. Also understand the challenges that some people might be facing, hence the reason for us to hire a resource manager, someone who could help an individual who is coming in, in the reentry program, justice involved, how to make sure that individual is getting their needs met while also going through our training program. We could talk about it more, but and we have a lot more work to do. You know, RINLA as a board of directors needs to look at internally as an organization as well. We have a large population of Spanish speakers that work for our businesses. We did look at actually training programs in Spanish versus English, and it's very expensive. And so, and it was, our programming is so new. You know, we're only this is the beginning of our 5th year. And so we were beta testing a lot of work. But our goal is to celebrate diversity and make sure folks are set up for success, no matter who you are. And I have to say my team, one of who's here tonight, we really are working very hard to make sure that's happening. And we do have the data. I did quote, you know, some of that. So yeah, it's important for us.
Please don't take it as I'm here for the diversity audit. That's not what I'm hearing.
No, I hear you loud and clear.
I really
It's important.
Thank you. We're running up against the end of our time here, and I did just want to ask everyone one question. And that is, that is about, related to this question of you are where you are, you're doing where you're doing, you're having the successes that you have, you're hitting the limits that you hit, you're reaching the people that you reach and not reaching the ones you don't reach. If we were to have this conversation 5 years from now, where would you hope to be? What do you hope to be able to say about what you're doing better, about what you're doing differently, about how your organization or your programs or you and your role, your employees, your crew have grown and changed? Anyone can chime in.
Yeah, I think it's what we're doing now to pave the way for the younger generation of employee owners to take my job. That's what I want in 5-6 years. I want somebody to take my job because I want to retire. But ultimately, it really is about the training programs that we're putting so much time and effort into now to see the fruits of the labor of the younger generation within our company. Because I was that younger generation 20 years ago. And that is, because it's about the success of people. As a chef, it wasn't about, I got to a point where it wasn't about the food anymore. It was about the people underneath me to raise their level of knowledge of cooking and how to adapt in situations. And the success of them was the greatest success. It wasn't, I didn't care about, not that I didn't care about food anymore. It was just I found that the people are the most important thing. So ultimately that's what I would want in 5 years from now.
So this question excites me, and this might sound like a cop-out, but I don't know what how I would be answering these questions in 5 years. When I think back, also all the programs that I've shared with you all today, none of them existed 5 years ago. The LDP, we were building it to launch in August of that year. So I just am so excited that we're in a place where I don't know, the programs that will be built and running in 5 years, our team hasn't thought of yet. So I'm excited to see some of these programs in a more mature state. I'm excited to see some of them phased out. It's funny, I have no problem phasing a program out no matter how much time and effort has gone into it if it's not still serving our business and serving our employees, right? So I don't know, and I'm pumped about that.
Let's keep going down the road. Tori, did you want to add to that or speak otherwise?
So as Kevin had mentioned that he wants his employees to take his job, I would like to take my boss's job.
Yeah, there you go.
Fantastic.
Right? So, I mean, I just, fresh out of college, just got my master's. I'm first time having a job in my career and my degree. So I am hoping to grow within my department in the next 5 years. So.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to see where folks are at on their journey in 5 years. We, as an organization, have had a lot of young people that have started somewhere and have grown somewhere else. And I'm really excited to see who steps up into those roles of leadership and what those voices are and what the challenges are 5 years from now and how those are responded to. On a really like nerdy level, I also hope that our open book management starts to become like we haven't quite brought it all together with like the full organization. All of our programs are doing it. And I'm excited to see an organization that comes together as well and talks about what we're doing organizationally and how we can do that better too.
Kane, how about you?
I would say in 5 years, creating more job opportunities, whether that's within our organization or somewhere else. I really want to get more involved. A program of Farm Fresh that we didn't talk about was Harvest Kitchen, which is a job training program that works with at-risk youth within, Rhode Island. And I would love to get to a point to offer them further professional development within the organization. They come from the Harvest Kitchen, which is kind of like a kitchen area. Maybe they come into Market Mobile and they get to work into a warehouse or some other program within the organization.
It's a wonderful vision. Thank you for that. Chelsea, how about you?
I guess personally in 5 years, it would be cool if I could be sort of starting on my own and maybe establishing my own little farm, but like continuing the culture of like teaching and openness that Emily and Craig really, foster at Greenview. If I still happen to be at Greenview, that would be awesome too. I love it there. I have felt really supported there, and I just want to help them, with new staff coming in every season that I'm there, just helping them provide that support and, being able to teach others for them so they don't have to do everything, I guess. Yeah.
One follow-up on that, just in your other role as as someone who rose through the Career Catalyst and now a crew leader on that pre-apprenticeship program, what do you hope for that program?
I hope it's still going on, and I hope to maybe have a little part in it still, if that's possible, because it was really when I took the program, I was in a very transitional place in my life, and I really, even just as that 1 month, being able to, I go out hiking in Arcadia all the time. It's one of my favorite places to be. So being able to go to that place and give back to somewhere that I love so much, and just meet like-minded individuals is a really good experience. So I think just the program itself in that one little period of time can be really helpful to people. But I can't imagine what it's going to be like in 5 years as far as like the additional support that folks get through that. It is really awesome to see people who maybe don't have their own transportation, people who don't have gear to work outside, if they are able to get that through this program, that can help them get jobs after. So I'm sure that in 5 years, those support systems will be even bigger and better. Yeah.
Thank you. Sure. And Shannon, how about you? What do you hope for Growing Futures?
Oh, what do I hope for Growing Futures? I don't know yet. I that resonates for me. I think when I look back on the work that I've done with Rinlo over the last 13 years, I never even imagined that we would rise to the occasion and foster new young people to recognize that they have an important role in building relationship to the land, caring for where they live, and that while you can get a great job, I hope we also speak and address the issue of passing farms on to young farmers like Chels. I believe that registered apprenticeship could possibly play a role in that, and as some of the biggest landholders, I hope that RINLA member businesses look at that. There are also other businesses that are ready to hand over their businesses to young people as well. I'm 64 and I'm ready to retire, so I hope there's some young leadership coming my way who think big, dream, love what they do, and I hope that keeps going with Growing Futures.
Awesome.
I can't top that. I'm going to let that be the last word. Thanks to this fantastic panel. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all on YouTube for being here.